Hello friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel. It is the end of another month, so it's time for another update to my media journal. In this video, I will share all of the spreads for everything I watched in February. But before that, I want to show how I did my star rating guide for my media journal. So in my previous media journal video, I mentioned that I rate shows based on a 10-point rating scale, but when I convert it to a 5-star rating system, the rating doesn't perfectly correspond. So an 8 out of 10 rating doesn't necessarily mean it's equivalent to a 4-star rating to me. I think on a 10-point scale, I can consider more factors and be more precise in my rating, but the 5-star rating system feels less precise because the range is so small. So rather than just dividing the 10-point rating scale by 2 to get a 5-star rating scale, I developed my own conversion method that feels more accurate with how I rate my shows. So I start by assigning 10 out of 10 as a 5-star rating, 9.5 as 4.75 stars, 9 as 4.5 stars, 8.5 as 4 stars. Then I interpolate the rating down to 1 star, which corresponds to a 4 out of 10 rating. This works for me because I rarely rate anything below 4 stars, and even if I do, it means the show was terrible and essentially deserves a 0-star rating. The concept of having 0.75 stars was inspired by how Erin Smith rates her books in her reading journal videos. For the star rating guide, I decided to use a piece of off-card paper, mainly because it means I can refer to this handy guide on any page and also reuse it when I transfer to a new notebook from my media journal. Though I should have measured it beforehand, it doesn't quite fit in the pocket on the back of the notebook. So for now, it's just sitting right in the first page of the book. I should probably make a proper pocket for it, but I guess that is future me's problem. So for now, let's move on to the cover page for February. I recently went to Daiso and found a few sets of origami paper. I had to stop myself from buying everything. The paper I'm using for the cover page is from a set that sort of reminds me of Japanese art. Instead of ripping the paper by hand, I'm using a pair of scissors that can cut a zigzag edge. You'll definitely see more of this funky type of scissors in future videos because I have 6 of them. I'm pairing the pink paper with washi tapes from Simply Gilded's Bloom Subbox. The Bloom Subbox has a cherry blossom theme, which fits perfectly with the Japanese art style of the paper. The 2 washi tapes I'm using are the Bloom Crane and Branch washi and the Bloom Sakura Blossoms Script washi. February seems to be a pink theme for me, and since the subbox was from February last year, everything fits perfectly. I've kept the style of the cover page similar to what I did in January. I have been really liking this style of cover page, so I'll probably stick with it for a while. In February, I completed a total of 12 shows, which is the same number of shows as in January, and majority of these were shows released on Netflix this month. Though there were also quite a few ongoing shows that ended their run in February, the average rating for February was slightly lower than January, with an average rating of 7.69 out of 10. But since February had 3 shows rated 8.5, I had to spend extra time deciding which one to choose as my best show of the month. Now that you've seen a preview of all of the spreads to come, let's move on to the very first spread of the month. The first show I completed in February is A Shop for Killers. This show actually started in January but ended its run on February 7, so that's why it's the first completed show on my list. By the way, usually for my media journal, I will use a set of sticker flicks for each month as a running theme because there are stickers I want to use up in my stash, but I have already used up all of these stickers, so from this month onwards, the stickers are from Simply Gilded deco sheets that I have collected over the years. They may or may not match the theme of the show because I tend to watch a lot of crime or mystery thrillers, and Simply Gilded is more on the cutesy side. I didn't want to get more stickers because I'm trying to use up my stash, so sometimes the stickers are not related to the show at all. For the decorative papers here though, I used a green piece of origami paper from Daiso, and I chose green to match the jacket worn by the main character in the poster. I paired it with this vintage looking scrapbook paper that features cartography, though I didn't really focus much on the map details. I just wanted a brownish tone to match the show's overall serious tone. For the title, I used a mixture of my wooden and silicone alphabet stamps, but I didn't really like how the silicone stamp turned out, So I stamped it again using another piece of off-cut paper and make the ink look more saturated with my Tombow Fudenosuke before sticking it onto my notebook. It does not look the greatest, but I really can't be bothered for a show that I didn't really like. I'll add the washi tape in just a bit, but the washi tape is an older tape I got from Shopee many years ago, but I'm pretty sure you can get this from places like AliExpress or Jolongse. Anyway, more about the show. The short for Killers centers around Ji-an, who is played by Kim Hee-jun. Because of something that happened to her family, she ends up living with her uncle Jong Ji-man. And one day she finds out that her uncle died and somehow stumbled upon the fact that he has been running a website that procures weapons for killers, I guess, in a way. And that's why it's called a shop for killers. Initially, I think the working title of the show was The Killers Shopping Mall, which is also the direct translation of the title of the original novel as well as the title in Korean. But somehow when the show became a Disney Plus original, they decided to change it to something more boring, like a shop for killers. Like, okay, whatever. I think this was supposed to be related to a show I watched in 2022, which is The Killer's Shopping List, because there is one character that appears in both shows who is played by Park Ji-bin. In The Killer's Shopping List, he is only known as Fish in Korean because he was the fishmonger at the supermarket. And in that show, there was some mystery with regards to his identity, with people alluding that he might have been a killer in the past. So I think The Shop for Killers is somewhat a prequel for that character, and that was the reason why I was excited for this show, because I love Park Ji-bin in The Killer's Shopping List. Unfortunately, I think I was expecting something different going into the show. The Killer's Shopping List was more comical. It was a clumsy, silly comedy about this guy who stumbled upon a killer's shopping list, as the title suggests. But A Shop for Killers in comparison is very serious and very dark, and I mean that literally. Like, I don't know why, but a lot of Disney Plus star original K-dramas, they're always so dark. Like, I turn up the brightness on my monitor to 100% and all I can see are just shadows. I don't really know what's the issue. Like, it's not just this show, but it's every single Disney Plus K-drama I've watched. So I don't really know what's going on. I don't know if they just don't want to invest in good lighting or if it's just the vibe they're going for. But because I couldn't see anything, I don't really know what's going on. The show also switches back and forth between flashbacks and the current timeline, which sort of disrupted the narrative flow of the show. Like, sometimes you have something happening in the present day and then suddenly there is a flashback, and sometimes I'm not paying attention, so I get kind of confused. I mean, yeah, maybe that's my fault for not paying attention, but the reason why I'm not paying attention in the first place is that I got bored by the 4th episode. I got so confused. I just wanted the show to be done. Honestly, I should have dropped this, but I thought that since it's only 8 episodes, I might as well watch it till the end. I know that a lot of people like this, but it is just not a show for me. I very much prefer The Killer's Shopping List, which was okay. Like, it wasn't great, but it was decent. But this one is just really not something I enjoyed watching. So that's why I gave this 7 out of 10, which corresponds to 3 stars. But now, let's move on to something much more enjoyable. There are 2 posters released for this show. I'm guessing they're meant to represent something like dawn versus dusk. Since one of them has an orange vibe while the other has mostly blue tones, I have the perfect scrapbook paper from the same inch drop set that I've used in January. It has both shades of blue and orange, so it matches perfectly with the theme I was going for. I'm using the iridescent ink Simple Line as well as the free range glitter Simple Line washi from Simply Gilded. I really love how everything just fits so well together, and honestly this is the biggest advantage of having way too many washi tips. I'm just going with a simple look for the title, using my wooden alphabet stamps. This show is called The Bequeathed, though its literal title means family gravesite. I had been waiting for this show since forever, though I only had time to watch it in February instead of when it was released in January. I first heard about it when I was watching the show Trolley sometime last year. Kim Hyun-joo and Park Hee-sun were both the leads in Trolley, and they are the leads here as well. So I thought that they will be playing a married couple yet again here, but it turns out that her character is married to another person and he is just the detective assigned to the case. So this show is about Yoon So-ha, played by Kim Hyun-joo, who inherited a burial ground upon her estranged uncle's death, and suddenly she finds out that she has a stepbrother, and honestly she finds him a little suspicious. Soon, people around Yoon So-ha mysteriously die one by one, and the detective, played by Park Hee-soon, investigates more into the case, because like, why is everybody around her dropping dead like flies? There was also a side story with Park Hee-soon's sour relationship with his boss or ex-friend, who is played by Park Hyun-eun, whom I did not expect to see in this show. It was kind of nice to see him in a different role compared to the antagonist roles that I'm used to seeing him in. When I first started this show, I was a bit wary because it started off quite slow, and I saw that the writer is Yeon Sang-ho, who did Train to Busan, Hellbound and Monstrous. Out of the three, only Train to Busan was decent. I think I gave both Hellbound and Monstrous 6 out of 10, which was really low. But the pace of this show picked up along the way. I ended up really enjoying this. I think it's also because the main showrunner is not Yeon Sang-ho, but Min Hong-nam, and because this one didn't really have any monsters or fake CGI. So maybe that's why this is so much better than Hellbound and Monstrous. From the synopsis, I couldn't tell if this show would be more of a horror or a crime mystery drama, and honestly it kinda reminded me of the show Revenant, which also involved people around the main character dropping dead like flies as well. But I won't say too much in case of spoilers. All I can say is that both have very similar vibes, but are quite different. My main concern about this show was that I couldn't understand why there was some contention involving the burial ground. Is that land really valuable, or is there something else people could gain by grabbing a piece of it? Overall though, I really liked this. I gave this 8.5 out of 10, which made it one of my main contenders for the best show of February. I think 6 episodes were just nice to flesh out the storyline, and I'm so glad that this is a limited series, so definitely no season 2 from Netflix, or at least I think so. It's kind of rare for Netflix to make a show that is one and done, but definitely check this out if you're into something dark and thrilling. Though if you're into rom-coms, I'm not sure if I should recommend the next one. For this spread, I'm using a blue piece of paper from a set of gingham pattern origami papers I got from Daiso. I picked the blue one mainly because the poster has a primarily white background, but the main lead's shirt is blue. The title is in pink, so the washi tapes I use also have some pink tones to them. The top washi is the Maui Sunset Turtle Love washi, and the bottom one is the pastel Mermaid Scale Charms washi. By the way, for J-dramas, I usually try to include both the official English title as well as the romanized title, because for some reason on my drama list, the J-dramas are listed in their romanized titles, even though there is an official English title, especially for Netflix or Disney Plus releases, for example. So yeah, this is just a way for me to easily retrieve the My Drama List page for my reference. Over here, you can see that I made a big mistake. I didn't measure properly the space I need to write down the names of the cast, so some of their names aren't included here. So sorry to whoever I missed out. Since this show has a marine theme, I'm using a lot of marine related stickers, though I think if you've watched the show, then you'll probably know why. So Love Deeply is a love story between a marine environmentalist played by Ishihara Satomi and a businessman played by Ayano Go. Of course, this businessman is the one in charge of a project that may damage the marine life somehow, and the environmentalist is trying to stop the project at all costs. But there is something that the environmentalist is hiding, so majority of the show kept on hinting at this secret which may affect their romance, and they kept on building the suspense. But unfortunately, I accidentally got spoiled while reading the comment section of My Drama List. I feel like the comment section is filled with people who don't know how to use spoiler text, but in this case, I might have clicked on the reveal spoiler button. So maybe that's my fault, but I really dislike the fact that they kept on hinting at the secret since episode 1, but only revealing it at like episode 7 or so, and the secret is like, meh, that's it. I wanted them to reveal it earlier instead of teasing it for about 7 episodes. After a while, it got boring because it felt like they were just trying to keep viewers hooked by withholding the secret. I also don't know if this is the start of J-dramas having a special episode at the end of the series, which is just the final episode, but with endless flashbacks and only 1 or 2 new scenes. I really hate this trend. Either make a proper SP or a proper finale. It just seems so lazy, especially when the special episode is at exactly 1 week after the end of the series. And it's not like the special episode resolved the main conflict. The ending was really open-ended, and I hate such an ending, especially for a supposed rom-com. I don't really know if this is considered a rom-com because there was no comedy here. I feel like it's been a while since I last saw Ishihara Satomi. She was in my all-time favorite rom-com J-drama from 5 to 9, though if I rewatch it now, I may find it questionable, but I definitely had a good time watching that, so I was hoping this could be another good Ishihara Satomi rom-com. But she also did Shitsuren Chocolatier, which was horrible. I dropped it after 2 episodes, so I didn't want to expect much from this show. It was quite funny to see Ayano go in a tsundere role this time round, because the last show of his that I watched was Mew 404, and his character was wacky there. It was kind of refreshing to see him so serious this time, though I can't really be bothered with the entire company saga and the feud among the 3 brothers. They should have just focused on the romance, and even then, it wasn't done properly. So I ended up giving this 7.5 out of 10, which seems to be the most common rating for this month, because the next show is also rated 7.5 out of 10. I wasn't sure what color scheme to go for, because there were at least 3 posters released for this show. I ended up going with a simple plain green construction paper for the decoration, since green seems to be a recurring color in all 3 posters. Plus, Suewu Shik's convenience store uniform is also green. For the washi tape, since this is a crime show, I decided to use my holly green drip washi from Cookie Sticker Co., though I'm pretty sure this was a Christmas related washi tape. You'll see the deco stickers later, but again, I don't have crime related stickers, so the deco stickers this time don't match the theme of the show. I have been waiting for this show to be released because I absolutely adore Suewu Shik, and I used to like Son Sok-gu, but I found out something about him that made me not like him anymore. Different people have different opinions about that, but for me personally, it doesn't align with my values, hence my decision to stop liking him. But I tried really hard to be objective while watching this. This show is called A Killer Paradox, and it's about a college student named Itang. He works part-time at a convenience store, and during one of his shifts, he gets into a fight with a drunk customer, and that customer ends up dead. The next day, Itang finds out that the dead man is actually a wanted serial killer, and he has the ability to find evil people and kill them, hence the killer paradox. Meanwhile, SSK is the detective who is chasing after Itang. There were also other people involved, but honestly, I think there were too many characters introduced within such a short period of time. Like, what was the purpose of introducing Lee Hee-jun's character here? This show only had 8 episodes, but I felt like they were trying to cram in so many storylines. I think the plot would have been tighter if they just focused on Itang's vigilante storyline and the cat and mouse chase between him and the detective, instead of having so many side plots, especially related to Robin and Co, as well as Lee Hee-jun. The ending made me think that they might be setting this up for a second season. Why was I so naive to believe that Netflix will make this into a limited series? I should have been familiar with Netflix modus operandi by now. But making the first season just a build up for a potential second season is not the way to go. This trend has been ruining so many K-dramas lately, and honestly, having a multi-season format feels more like a cash grab. I very much rather have an excellent complete 16-episode drama than 2 half-baked seasons that don't make sense or hold my attention long enough. In this case, I was so confused with the many characters and storylines that I got bored. It was so good in the first half, but the second half was a mess. And I really think that's because they were going with the 2 half-baked season strategy. I did find the transition between flashback and present day scenes kind of cool though. I feel that Suewu Shik has been really particular about the scripts he chose for Dramaland, so I'm disappointed that he has 2 boring shows back to back. So maybe I need to check out more of his movies, but for this show, I ended up giving it 7.5 out of 10, only for the strong first half. But now, let's move on to a much better show, and also my pick for the best of February. The poster for this show has a blue background, and since this is a light-hearted rom-com, I am using this floral blue origami paper, which is also from Daiso. Yes, I did get a lot of origami paper from Daiso. They have so many different options and each pack is only $2, so I might get more the next time I visit Daiso. As for the washi tape, I'm using the Spring Sky micro dot washi for the top border and the blue Spring Bunny washi for the bottom border. I don't know why I picked an overall spring theme for this show, considering this was a drama released in the winter season, and I'm pretty sure this was set in winter as well. Looking back, it was kind of funny how the show originally aired right before the pandemic happened. It ended in March 2020, and as we all know, that was when the world was beginning to go into lockdown. So I think there wasn't a mention of COVID or anything in this show despite the medical setting, unlike a few other shows aired after March 2020 that wanted to mention the pandemic no matter what. So yeah, wild times pre-pandemic days. Anyway, this show is a rom-com as well, but unlike Love Deeply, this one has more comedy and more romance. The official English title is An Incurable Case of Love, though I think the Japanese title means something else entirely. This show is about a nurse called Sakura Nanase. When she was in high school, she had a chance encounter with a doctor called Tendo, and she developed like a schoolgirl's crush on him. So because of this crush, she decided to become a nurse, hoping that she will meet him again someday. And after 5 years, she meets him again, but is shocked to learn that he's actually a mean person. Tendo is very strict and very uptight, and he's known as the devil in the hospital. So the department that most of the characters are in is the cardiology department, but Sakura does have a circle of nurse friends who are posted to different departments. One of her friends is Nishi, who has a romance storyline of his own. I honestly only watched this because it was releasing on Netflix and I didn't expect much from such a plot, but I ended up really loving this. It was such a cute and fun romantic comedy. Sakura as a character was hilarious. I love her inner monologues, especially when she was imagining the dating announcement as if she was a celebrity doing a press conference. But I also love that she has some growth as a nurse throughout the show. Tendo, on the other hand, he's a typical tsundere type of character, and this is how I realized that I actually love such characters, though they are so cliche. I kept blushing at the romantic scenes, and as much as I want to be known as a dark crime, mystery, thriller kind of girly, I'm actually a shoujo manga girly at heart. So yeah, this show made me realize that. There was one plot involving the second female lead which I thought should have been omitted because her character was so creepy and I just wanted her to be gone. Nishi, who is Sakura's friend, his romance storyline was kind of meh, like he was barely in it. Though it's quite funny to see Karina in a lighthearted role after seeing her in Shinhanin Flag. I wish we had seen more of Hota Mayu's character though, because her role here is so limited. I do like the cases featured in the show, though what felt like a cardiology version of Daily Dose of Sunshine, which by the way, if you have not checked that out yet, then you should. It was so good, though please check the trigger warnings first. Anyway, because I had such a fun time watching this and there wasn't really a dull moment throughout the show, I ended up giving this 8.5 out of 10, and I chose it as the best show of the month over the other two 8.5 shows, mainly because this show had fewer boring parts, also because it's one I kept thinking about even after so many months. But for now, let's move on to the next show, which I quickly forgot about to the point that I had to watch recap videos. This show is called House of Ninjas, hence the poster is primarily black, so I'm using a black piece of construction paper for the background. You can easily see the inner layer of the paper when you tear it up in one direction, so I always try to tear it again in the other direction to make the edges look more clean. For the washi tapes, I'm using the Color Love Midnight with blue foil bows, both in the 10 and 15mm. For the title, I'm using my Archer and Olive Acrylograph pen, but as you can see, my cat disturbed me while I was writing down the title, so I ended up smudging the word off because the ink wasn't dry yet. So I covered it up with a black off-cut paper, and it blends so easily because the black paper is so dark. It's like the mistake was never there. For the details about the show, I'm using the copper pen from the Sarasa Clip Deco Shine metallic line because there are some brown undertones in the poster, and I guess copper is the closest to brown out of all the metallic pens that I have. Similar to my January media journal spreads, I'm using a white Sarasa clip pen to write on black paper. While I was looking through the credits of this show, I realized that the male lead, Kako Kento, was also credited as the original creator of this show. So I'm kind of happy for him that his idea was greenlit, especially on a huge platform like Netflix. Anyways, for some reason, I was so sure that I had some ninja stickers from One Ton in a Million, but it turned out that I was imagining it, but oh my god, it it would have been so perfect for this spread. So House of Ninjas centers around a family of ninjas, or shinobi as they are called in Japanese. Kaku Kento plays the main character and the second son, Haru. The family unit consists of dad Soichi, mom Yoko, Haru, sister Nagi, baby brother Riku, and grandma. Only the baby brother Riku doesn't know that they're all ninjas. There is also another brother called Gaku, but something happened to him which caused all of them to stop their ninja duties and are now living like normal civilians. While living their normal lives, something major happened and they're asked to help with that incident. Though the dad refuses, other family members secretly want to go back to their ninja duties. There's also a journalist involved named Karen, and she also serves as the love interest for Haru. As I mentioned, I kind of forgot what happened in this show, mainly because I watched it all in one sitting. The episodes were quick and short, typical of a J-drama, and I found it funny that there was a Bureau of Ninja Management. It sort of reminded me of the Koga and Iga ninja organizations in the drama Marriage is Difficult for a Ninja. I also like that each of the family members has some kind of role to play in the mission, and there's a cult storyline, so of course count me in. But I think somewhere towards the middle, it became quite messy. I felt like, as with a killer paradox, there were too many storylines being crammed into 8 episodes that it got so confusing after a while. I also didn't like that they focused a lot on the romance between Karen and Haru. It happened so quickly that I felt the romance wasn't developed enough. Karen's character was also not developed well. She felt like a mere love interest. They should have just omitted her character altogether because she didn't add much. The ending was also open-ended, and it feels like they are setting this up for a second season as usual. But if they had just made this into a typical 10-episode J-drama, then they would have needed multiple seasons. I also felt this show was a bit Americanized in a way, which is typical of Netflix to do so, but I thought it was strange that the director is a white dude. There's a reason why I enjoy K-dramas and J-dramas, and I'm not really fond of them trying to make my dramas more westernized. And I'm saying this as an Asian person watching Asian dramas. If I wanted to watch a westernized drama, then might as well watch a US TV series. But I guess in a way, at least this makes J-dramas more well known, and hopefully it will signal more dramas to be licensed internationally. But overall, I give this 8 out of 10 because it was mostly decent. But we'll move on to the next show, which also involves some covert mission. There are 2 posters released for this show, but I decided to decorate my spread based on the purple poster. The paper at the bottom is a plain purple origami paper, and the one at the top is one with some floral motifs. And that's because this show is called Night Flower, so of course I had to include some florals in this spread. As I pasted the posters on this spread, I realized that I made a mistake. The floral paper would have been too dark for me to write the title of the show on, so I decided to stamp the title on the offcut of that purple paper using my silicone alphabet stamps as well as my Crayola super tip and whipping the paper to give off that torn edges look. I had to go over the title with my marker again because the ink is not saturated, but I also think this origami paper doesn't work well with water-based inks, so I had to let it dry for a while before pasting the title on top of that floral piece of paper. I'm doing the same for the year, except I'm using my wooden stamps this time around. In hindsight, I should have just used my permanent zebra marker from the beginning. I'm not exactly happy with how it looks, but it is what it is. But I'm liking using my Tombow Fudenosuke pen on this sticker paper. It looks much better than the mine liners. The washi tapes this time around are the Neon Stardust Purple from Simply Gilded's Dream Big collection. Anyway, this show is about Yohwa, played by Lee Hani, who is a widow. As the daughter-in-law of a noble family, she had to stay home, devoting her life to her dead husband. But at night, she secretly sneaks out and sort of become a mass vigilante. So basically, this is yet another show with a Joseon widow moonlighting, starting from Pung, the Joseon psychiatrist, to the matchmakers, and then this. So in the Joseon era, widows were expected to devote their lives to their dead husband and were prohibited from remarrying. And those who remain loyal to their dead husbands can receive something like a chastity award. I think in this show they refer it as a chastity gate, which is a physical gate that is erected near the house, and to receive such an award will somehow elevate the in-law status. So that's why Yohwa's mother-in-law is so strict about her being confined to the house and not wander around, so her sneaking out in the middle of the night is considered taboo. Amidst all this, there is a palace official who got wind of this mysterious masked figure who is punishing criminals. So I was quite surprised that this show only has 12 episodes, and honestly I was glad that it was short. The first half was enjoyable, it was fun, especially seeing Lee Han-hee trying to evade the official. But as we got to the middle of the series, it focused more on the usual political side of the story, which is common in most sakuks. And that's where I got bored. It also didn't help that I was watching this on a channel which I had a free preview for, so it wasn't on streaming. I had to watch it as it aired on TV. That meant that sometimes I was watching during dinner with someone talking to me and I couldn't rewind to the parts I missed. I think the viewing experience played a role in why I didn't enjoy this as much. I did enjoy seeing Lee Han-hee again though. She always shines in comedic roles like this, though I'm kind of worried that she might be limited to only similar roles. This is the first time I'm seeing the male lead and I think he's okay. The romance here was subtle, though I wish it would be more developed. The villains in this show were also quite predictable. I don't know if it's because I've been watching K-dramas for so many years that I sort of know where the story is going, or if K-dramas are just being lazy and predictable nowadays. It was kind of funny to see Kim Mi-kyung as the mother figure again in this show. While I was watching this, she was also everyone's mother in Death's Game, Welcome to Samdari, and Tell Me That You Love Me, though her character here is more of the strict mother-in-law instead of the loving mom. Overall, I gave this 7.5 out of 10, mainly because I did enjoy the first half, but got bored in the second half. And it seems to be a trend lately, where the quality of the show is not consistent throughout the series, because I felt the same way about this next drama, though it is definitely much better than Night Flower. The poster for this show has mainly a darker navy blue background, but I ran out of my navy blue construction paper, so instead I'm using my plain blue construction paper. For the title, I used my blue Crayola Super Tip as well as my Zig Clean color marker, but I realized that I didn't like how fine the lettering of the Crayola Super Tip was, so I tried to go over the words again, and in the end, it became a mess. I'll be fixing that in a bit, but I'm using the September Soiree Subbox washi tapes for this spread. I had a smaller blue paper from a notepad and I thought that maybe I could disguise my mistake like I did for House of Ninjas, but since the paper doesn't cover the mistake fully, I opted to use a piece of that blue floral origami paper to act as a border for the original construction paper before I paste the new title over my mistake, and it looks worse. I don't really like how this spread looks, so I'm adding a couple more of the deco stickers from the September Soiree subbox just to beautify it a bit. The reason why I chose the September Soiree subbox to go along with this spread is because the subbox is peacock themed, and as we know, male peacocks attract mates by displaying their large colorful feathers. And this show is called Marry My Husband, where the female lead is trying to attract another woman to her husband, and the husband in this case is so full of himself, I thought he reminded me of a peacock. If you're wondering why then is the female lead trying to get another woman to marry her husband, well, let me explain. The female lead, Kang Ji-won, has been married to her husband, Park Min-hwan, but she has been treated badly by her husband and her mother-in-law. She finds out that she has cancer, but thinks that despite everything, she still has the best friend Sumin beside her. Unfortunately, Sumin has been having an affair with her husband, and during a fight, Ji-won gets killed by her husband. When she wakes up, she discovers that she has somehow traveled back in time to 10 years earlier, and she realizes things that are meant to happen will happen anyway, and the only way she can avoid her death is to transfer her fate to someone else. And since she was betrayed by her best friend, she decides to let her friend steal her fate by marrying her husband Min-hwan instead. The premise of this show sounds similar to Perfect Marriage Revenge, where both female leads end up being betrayed by someone close to them and then getting killed, but they are somehow given a second chance by time traveling to change their fate and escape their deaths. I did find Marry My Husband to be enjoyable as a whole. This show is more of a rom-com instead of a revenge drama. It's so good to finally see Park Min-young in a good rom-com and not a boring one like her previous ones. I was always behind on this show, but it was so hard to avoid spoilers, mainly from people who have read the webtoon. Even though this show didn't follow the webtoon 100%, I thought that telling other people what happened in the webtoon was akin to spoiling the show for others. Like, I just want to enjoy the show as it is and not based on the webtoon or the web novel. But I did find it entertaining when netizens were making fun of Ji-hwan and Sumin. Even though they are really the villains in this show, their characters were funny, especially Ji-hwan. His character is the reason for the comedic part of the show, and you can tell there is a change in the tone of the show halfway, when Ji-hwan and Sumin were no longer the focus of the show. I really disliked that they introduced another character halfway and chose to focus on her instead, because I thought that character added unnecessary conflict and didn't really add much value to the show. This is the first time I'm seeing Na In-woo in a rom-com though, and I can see why he's one of the top rising actors. Park Min-young Song always has great chemistry with her main leads, and this show is no exception. Overall, it was really a fun and enjoyable show. I highly recommend it if you're into rom-coms, but because the second half was a bit messy and boring, I didn't end up choosing this as the best show of the month. An Incurable Case of Love was a tad bit better for me, but I still really like this, and it's definitely a show I will remember in years to come. Though I can't say for the next show though, I think I've already forgotten all about it. Lately it seems that a lot of shows are opting to release multiple posters, or maybe I just happen to actively find alternate posters for each show. But for this show, one poster has a more brownish undertone while the other is more blue, so I'm using another scrapbook paper from the Ink Drops set. The paper is mostly brown, but there are some splatters of blue, which I thought matches both posters overall. I am honestly falling out of love with this scrapbook paper. My water-based markers just don't look saturated on the paper, but my permanent oil-based marker works well on the paper though. I felt like it has been a while since I used my Exo Mama Plants washi, so I'm using the Star Country washi for the borders this time round. I was kind of excited for this show ever since they announced late last year that Song Ho-jun and Jang Nara were reuniting as husband and wife in a new drama. After the drama The First Responders, I wanted to see Song Ho-jun in a bigger role and not just a side character, and I really like Song Ho-jun and Jang Nara together since I watched Go Back Couple in 2022. That show was great, they had amazing chemistry, so I thought they could replicate that chemistry here. This show is called My Happy Ending, though nothing is really happy here. It's about Jae-won, played by Jang Nara, who is a successful businesswoman and a social media influencer. She has the picture perfect family with her husband Song Ho-jun and their daughter Irene. But of course, everything is not what it seems. Her friend Kwon Yoo-jin enters her life and causes her world to turn upside down. Honestly, the premise doesn't sound new, but I thought a dark mystery type of drama would be something different from the light-hearted dramas I've been watching lately. The first half of this show left me so confused because Jae-won is such an unreliable narrator. And honestly, we don't know whether what's happening is true or not. We also see her struggling with her mental health, which further casts doubt on what we are watching since it's mainly from her perspective. I've always enjoyed watching shows with unreliable narrators because they often come with intriguing plot twists. Kind of reminded me of the show Lies Hidden in My Garden, and similarly I enjoyed the first half of My Happy Ending. It was one of those shows that confuses you so much that it intrigues you and makes you want to watch more. Unfortunately, as the show progressed, I lost interest because it became boring and overly convoluted. I'm pretty sure there were plot holes here and there, but honestly my mind checked out around episode 10 or so. I felt the show went on for way too long. The plot would have been tighter if it only had 12 episodes. I was also confused because this show kept emphasizing that Jae-won has bipolar disorder, but her symptoms don't seem to align with bipolar disorder. I'm not psychologically trained or anything, but from my understanding, her symptoms appear to be more consistent with schizophrenia with psychosis. I don't understand making a show and then having monologue about destigmatizing mental illness, but portray incorrect symptoms of the mental health condition her character seemed to have. I was also disappointed because Song Ho-jun's role here is again limited. They could have casted a random unknown actor and his role would still be the same. If you want to see both of them in a better romance drama, then Go Back Couple is the one to watch and not this one. The second male lead's eagerness to help Jae-won also seems very iffy, especially when Jae-won is still married to her husband and the second male lead is overly helpful to her. I did love for that, though I might have missed out on why she called him Ajoshi in the past. Maybe because he's her stepdad, or maybe it was because of something else. I also didn't get the part where her friend Yoon-jin mentioned something about stealing her name, but in the end I gave this 7.5 out of 10, only because I did enjoy the first half but quickly lost interest in the second half. While the title of this show is misleading, the title of the next show may not be. It's called Woman, My Life for My Children, and already it sounds like it will be about the struggles of motherhood. But wait till you hear the synopsis, it gets more depressing. I didn't mean to make this spread look all bright and happy, but I thought I saw a ray of sunshine in the corner of the poster, or maybe it symbolizes hope that the characters in this show will be happier than they were at the beginning. Or maybe I'm just justifying why I'm using this floral yellow origami paper as decoration. The washi tapes I use for this spread are the Carousel Horse yellow washi as well as the Summer Meadow washi from the Simply Gilded Illustrated and Pigeon Paper co-collab. Initially, I wasn't going to watch this show when it appeared on Netflix coming soon tab because I mistakenly thought this was a movie. But when I realized that it was a drama with one of my favorite Japanese actresses, Mitsushima Hikari, I had to watch it even though I knew this was going to be a tearjerker. Mitsushima Hikari stars as Koharu, a single mother of two whose husband, played by Okuri Shun, died in an accident. When she applies for welfare assistance, she gets rejected, and I believe one of the reasons is that she has family who can support her, and she's like, no, I don't have any family left. But it turns out that her estranged mother is still listed on her family registry. Somehow she ends up meeting her estranged mother and her new family. Because of Koharu's circumstances, she ends up having her mother and her mother's husband take care of her kids while she works. Her mom also has another daughter, Shiori, who will be integral to the storyline later in the show. So this show sounds like it could either be heartwarming or depressing, but I think it's more of the latter. And what's worse is that it's probably common in real life, where people with very difficult circumstances are not qualified for welfare benefits due to red tape and end up struggling to make ends meet. From the title, I initially thought it referred to Koharu, but it seems like it could also apply to her mother. You'll learn why her mom left her when she was younger. The reasons behind her mom's action throughout the show might be questionable, but also in a way justified. It's something a mother might do for a child. If I'm being honest, the show's premise and genre are not really my cup of tea. I usually avoid sad and heavy topics like this, but when I saw that it was written by Sakamoto Yuji, I know that it would be a show that explores societal issues and does so tactfully. The show was exactly what I expected it to be and definitely delivered. I just thought that one storyline introduced in the middle of the show regarding another challenge in Koharu's life only made her situation more miserable than it already was. They could have omitted that and focused instead on Koharu rebuilding her relationship with her mother. I also felt absolutely gutted when the show began with the sweet love story between Koharu and her husband, only to have him killed off in the very next scene. But that just goes to show how well Sakamoto Yuji writes. I also love Tanaka Yuko's performance as the mother. She has always been fantastic in every show I've seen her in, and strangely enough, she is in quite a few of Sakamoto Yuji's works. I also enjoyed seeing the bond between Koharu's stepdad and her children. It's so wholesome seeing how he treats them like his own grandkids despite not being blood related. Overall though, despite the sad tones of this show, I did like this, so I gave this 8 out of 10. But now, let's move on to the show that is on the lighter side. Instead of my usual rip corner style, I cut this orange gingham piece of origami paper into quarters, and this time I decided to be smart about it by stamping the title using my silicone alphabet stamps before I paste the paper onto my notebook to test if it works. And yay, it looks good. Finally, a successful outcome with the alphabet stamps. I'm also ripping the edges of the paper to give it a torn look. I decided to pair the offcuts with the mustard washi tape from Exo Mama Plants to create a border along the bottom of the page. The poster for this show is more of a mustardy kind of yellow, so this washi tape is a good match. I'm also adding an older cat paw washi for the borders on the side. I'm using a mix of stickers from the Here Comes the Sun subbox deco sheet as well as the Simply Charms deco sheet. I'm not sure if I chose this rainbow sticker subconsciously, but it seems to fit well with the show's exploration of queerness. From the initial synopsis on Netflix, I thought it would be a typical reunited first love type of drama, but it turned out to be very different. So this show is called Fake Marriage, and it's about a librarian named Hiro. She unexpectedly meets her ex-boyfriend from college, Choji again. There are some unresolved feelings on her part because she doesn't know why they broke up. But now Choji proposes that they pretend to get married to fulfill his mother's dying wish, and she reluctantly accepts his proposal. But the thing is, the reason why Choji left her is because he's gay. Knowing that, I went into this show thinking that it would be more of a comedy than romance, especially with them trying to avoid being found out by his mother. For maybe the first half of the show, I was truly entertained. Choji and his mother were quite manipulative, but they were honestly so funny. I really love seeing Sawamura Ike in a comedic role. He is so hilarious. I think he truly shines in comedies. I love Choji's random English dialogues. Like once his talent said, "Don't worry, no problem, we are the world." And Hiro asked him, "Why are you suddenly speaking in English?" And he simply said, "Seems appropriate for a dark situation." I was honestly quite surprised that this show explores queerness quite openly, considering it was a primetime drama on a mainstream network from 2015. It doesn't only focus on Choji's gay identity, but also touches on Hiro's potential attraction to women, especially through her interaction interactions with the mother of a girl who frequently visits the library. However, I find the portrayal a bit confusing. It seemed like the show was pushing for a relationship between Choji and Hiro, even though Choji is gay, without providing a clear explanation. It honestly felt more like a plot device to create a narrative that caters to mainstream audiences, rather than a genuine exploration of bisexuality or other identities. In contrast, Koisei no Futare, a show that delves into asexuality, provides a thoughtful distinction between asexuality and aromanticism, which I found insightful. Fake Marriage could have offered similar insights but fell short in that regard. So because of that, I decided to give this 7.5 out of 10. And finally, we're on to the last spread for February. Since February is a shorter month, I decided to squeeze a 2-hour movie rather than start a new drama. This one is a Netflix original film, In Love and Deep Water, written by Sakamoto Yuji, which maybe explains why his back catalogue is suddenly appearing on Netflix lately. I decided to go with a brown background this time because I thought the poster had some brown undertones, but now that I see it again, I feel like yellow might have been a better match. Since this movie takes place on a cruise, I thought that it is the perfect spread to use my nautical emoji swashi from the Coffee Monsters Co. Q2 subscription. I decided to use mainly Jasper themed deco stickers, especially the window Jasper one, because it reminded me of a cruise porthole. I'm also leaving some space for the Sailor Jasper deco sheet that is coming in the mail. But for now, more about this movie. It centers around a butler working on board a ship who meets a suspicious passenger. They discover that their respective partners are cheating on them with each other's partners, and they somehow get entangled in a murder mystery that unfolds on the ship. And maybe they will fall in love along the way. I honestly can't tell if anything else happened in the movie because it was boring. That was basically everything that happened in the movie. I am a sucker for murder mystery shows set on cruises. The setting is just perfect. Everyone on board is a suspect, and no one can really escape. It reminded me of the Agatha Christie mysteries and Kindaichi case files. Plus a murder mystery written by Sakamoto Yuji. Sounds good already. Unfortunately, this movie fell short in its execution. Nothing important really happened over the course of the 2-hour duration of the movie, and I honestly tuned out after 30 minutes. The cinematography was nice, though it was the only positive thing about the movie. Someone on my drama list mentioned that it's basically a commercial for the cruise line, and I agree. The movie was boring. It had no soul. It was hard to believe that this is the same writer behind two of my favorite shows, Quartet and Omameda Towako and Her 3 Ex-Husbands, or I think the official English title is My Dear Exes. I'm not sure if the issue lies in the movie being more of a romantic comedy rather than a slice of life drama Sakamoto Yuji is known for, though Omameda Towako was a comedy and it was funny, so what went wrong here? The two leads of In Love and Deep Water were not memorable, and there was little chemistry between them. It felt like the movie was trying to focus on a romance plot to market it as a rom-com, but it ended up being neither romantic nor comedic. The murder mystery also felt flat. It was too simple. It also felt like it wasn't fully resolved in the end. So this movie didn't meet the expectations for any of its genres. The only saving grace of the movie was probably Yoshida Yo, but even then her role felt so minor that it was a waste of a talent. So in the end I gave this 7 out of 10 only because I was trying to be kind and appreciative of the cast and crew's effort, but honestly it should have been way lower than that. And that is everything I watched in February. Here's the final flip through of all of the spreads. I am honestly surprised that I managed to complete this many shows in February, considering that it is a shorter month. But as you can see, my style for my media journal spreads are slowly changing. Some of them changed for the better, while some of them seem to be worse than before. I'm still trying to experiment with my spreads, so we'll see how much they change by the end of the year. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'm guessing my media journal videos are going to be longer than usual, but I hope you got some inspiration for your own media journal. Please let me know in the comments the shows that you're currently watching, and I'll see you again next time. Bye!